Casita Linda, which, like Robin said, means pretty little house, is a local nonprofit that empowers families with incomes of less than 300 USD per month to build a dignified, safe home in order to improve their lives. These are some of the poorest of poor in Mexico. Our state of Guanajuato is among the three poorest states in the Republic. Casita Linda has built more than 160 homes since founded in 2001, therefore providing lives for well over 700 local citizens in their communities. It only takes 3 months and $20,000 USD to build a Casita Linda home. And due to the construction process, they are able to conserve 70% of the water originally used to do such constructions. In addition, Casita Linda offers community workshops on health, family planning, communication, water conservation, and other topics, ensuring a greater sustainability for the recipients. Today, Casita Linda board member Paul Rose will share more about the impact of Casita Linda. A lawyer who litigated construction cases, Rose retired to serve his community in a variety of additional ways, including chairing the board of a psychiatric halfway house and leading various committees of the Cleveland Orchestra, including construction and capital improvements. So please help me welcome Paul Rose to the Rotary podium.
Good morning. It's so great to be with you all this morning and with all the people on Zoom and all ships at sea and whomever else I'm reaching. I am Paul Rose. First of all, I want to start by commending Robin for both your courage and your singing talent. I sing in a key to which musicologists have not yet assigned a letter. So I'll spare you that, but there may be an interpretive dance portion later. So don't leave early. You might want to stay for that. With me today are Louise Gilliam, our president. Louise has had the opportunity to address this group before, so now I get a turn. The privilege falls upon me. Also with me are Gabriela Rodriguez, our executive director. Another board member whom you know, Kiko Rodriguez, no relationship there. And finally, Stacy Rose, another board member, and there is a relationship, happily by marriage. So we're really grateful for this opportunity, and we will be around after the meeting, so there are plenty of us to ask questions to if you should ask questions. Before I talk about Casita Linda, though, I want to take a moment to commend Rotary, an organization about which I knew something, but not enough. I had an opportunity to speak to Andrea, or her alter ego, Andrea, for quite a while last week and learned about all of the many projects you undertake. And, you know, my sincere reaction is, wow, it's just incredible what you do. And I want to thank you because what you do to improve this community improves the lives of all of us because we all live in this community. So it's quite impressive, and thank you for all that you do. I understand that Rotary's theme for this year is Unite for Good, with areas of interest of service, leadership, and positive change. I've tried to structure this presentation within that framework. And as it turns out, we have quite a bit in common, so that wasn't difficult to do. I want to start with just the very basics. Casita Linda builds homes for some of the most economically disadvantaged people in the community, and we provide life skill workshops for them as well. We're a very lean organization. We have only 3 employees. Gabby, our executive director, her assistant, and also we have a full-time social worker. That's it. We have a 9-person board. It's an all-volunteer board. The only one that works full-time is Luisa, and it is a full-time job, but it's an active board, and we try to accomplish all we can with that small group. I'm going to get back to what we do and how we do it, but in keeping with your themes for this year, I want to focus first upon why we do it, what we're trying to accomplish in what we do. I have the privilege of knowing a few of you, but I don't know most of you. But judging from the fact that you are here in San Miguel, as am I would guess that I share many of your interests. Maybe history, maybe cultural studies, maybe sociology. Each of those disciplines illuminates what Casita Linda is trying to do. And here's the context. And as I spent 40 years saying to judges, I promise I will connect this up. Usually I would. When I didn't, sometimes they wouldn't notice if I were lucky, but I promise I will connect it up here. In the 1860s, in the United States, 14% of the country's population was prohibited from contributing all that it could to American society. It was 4.4 million people. That changed in the 1860s with the ratification of the 13th Amendment and the abolition of slavery. Mexico was a bit ahead of the United States in that regard. Mexico abolished slavery in 1829. Secondly, until 1920 in the United States, half of the country's population was prohibited the opportunity to contribute all that it could to American society until the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920, when women were given the right to vote. Now, looking back at that, I guess the most charitable way you could describe those periods was it was silly. Why would you deprive major segments of your population of the opportunity to fully contribute to the social and economic progress of those societies? But now people can contribute fully to their societies in both the United States and Mexico, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender. There is one very large group, however, that is still deprived of the opportunity to contribute fully for the benefit of all of us. And that group is the severely economically disadvantaged. In the United States, that's somewhere between 10 and 13% of the population, depending upon who's doing the counting and how they're doing it. In Mexico, the percentage in extreme poverty is somewhere between 20 and 35% of the population. Well, now it's time for a story. I'm going to go back to the 1860s. In the 1860s, there was a man who served as president of his country. He was born in very impoverished circumstances in a rural community, but was given an opportunity to change his circumstances, to transcend his situation. And he went on to become what many regard as the greatest president in the history of the country. And some of you, no doubt, probably have a mental image at the moment of Abraham Lincoln. But the person to whom I refer is actually Benito Juarez, who is regarded by many as the greatest president of Mexico. Benito Juarez was born in a very poor rural community in Oaxaca, was orphaned at a young age, but got an opportunity. There was a catalyst in his life that permitted him to become what most regard as Mexico's greatest president. And here's a final bit of context. There's a social science underpinning for what Casita Linda does. And it really harkens back to the groundbreaking work of Abraham Maslow in the 1940s, someone with whom many of you no doubt are familiar, who developed his analysis of the hierarchy of human needs. And we know from Maslow that we all have, as humans, tiers of needs. And we can only advance as each tier of needs is satisfied. And the most basic tier is the physiological tier, the basics of food, water, and shelter. We all need that. If we don't have that, we cannot advance further. We can't become the full best versions of ourselves, and we cannot contribute to our societies for the benefit of all unless those needs are met. And now, as I promised, I'm going to connect it up. Casita Linda addresses two of these three most basic needs, shelter and water. And what we do is we look for Benito Juarez types of neighborhoods. We try to identify those neighborhoods, and we try to be that catalyst that gives people an opportunity. We meet that fundamental first tier of needs to give them the opportunity to not only be the best people that they can be, but to contribute the most they can contribute to their communities, and by extension to all of us. So that's what we try to do. That is our mission. And now let's look a little bit at how we go about doing that. As this indicates, we've been around since 2001. So this is our 25th year. We said we should have done something more special to commemorate that. 25 years is a long time. We're a 501c3 organization in the United States, and we are a donataria autorizada in Mexico as well. And kind of overlapping in this Venn diagram between Casita Linda and Rotary, and consistent with your theme for this year of Unite for Good, our vision is to provide dignified housing to the communities that we serve. And our mission, consistent with your focus this year of service, is to provide safe, empowering environments for families in extreme poverty. And I will talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And our values, consistent with your focus this year of positive change, are empowerment, dignity, respect, community, the other things you see up here on the screen. Oh, I'm so sorry, Diego. He trained me better than that. A brief timeline. We formed in 2001. Our founders were Irma Rosado and Jeffrey Brown. And I want to tell you a little story about that. 2 weeks ago, in the community in which we're currently building, Puente del Carmen, there was a celebration for Dia de los Muertos, for Day of the Dead, and they invited the Casita Linda board. It was charming, it was wonderful, it was so much fun. There were about 24 children in this community, ages 5 to 10, and they organized a dance program to the music of the musical Grease, which was just so cute it made your eyes hurt. But they also built an ofrenda, and it was quite large, it was quite impressive. And at the top of the ofrenda, there was a picture of Irma Rosado, our founder. Now, none of these people had ever met Irma, but it was important to them to recognize the legacy that Irma had created for communities here. And it was important for her that she not be forgotten in the tradition of Dia de los Muertos. It was so touching, but it speaks to the level at which we're able to integrate with these people and their lives, and in the level at which they're able to integrate with ours. Our workshops began in 2016. We've got a separate slide on that, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment a bit more. We became a 501c3 in 2017. And the construction system that we currently use for our homes, we began using about 7 years ago in 2018. I've got a separate slide on that. I'll show you our floor plan. Really is ingenious, and it permits us to build a lot of high quality homes at low costs. And we've been doing that for 7 years. And as of today, we have finished 168 homes. By the time we finish in Puente del Carmen, it will be more than 175. We're still identifying families there and working there. It may not seem like a lot, but I think in a lot of ways it's quite a bit. And I'm going to talk about that a bit more in a moment as well. Our programs, we really have two missions. The first is to construct homes. That's the one for which we are most known, and it's very important. But our second mission is to provide human development workshops, which I think can be as enduring and as important as the first. The home construction program, it's really ingenious. I think some of you have been to our building sites, and I love the power of a laser pointer. You can see one of the volunteers here holding a construction brick. These are cinder block bricks that have all the brilliant engineering of Legos. I mean, they fit together so well. And we're able to build these homes using very little mortar, very little rebar, because of the interlocking nature of the bricks. Well, we lay a cement floor, and I have to tell you, that is such an incredible advancement for some of these families who have used to living with a dirt floor. But it's a cement floor, cinder block construction. There's a cement roof, which is sloped as part of our water catchment system. And these homes are built to last. They are like pillboxes. I think you could withstand hurricane force winds in these homes. They're going to be here a lot longer than any of us are going to be. They're just very well made. But there's something about these homes that is profound in its impact on these families that is second nature to all of us, and that is doors. These people are used to living, many of these families are used to living maybe 4 to a room, 6 to a room, 8 to a room, parents, children, boys and girls, no doors, no privacy. You know, I think they may be more excited about the doors than any other feature of these homes. Our furniture, as John mentioned, we get from the School for the Deaf, a wonderful, wonderful kind of interrelationship there. And as I mentioned, water catchment systems, because as you know, the water quality in the communities here is not great. But also we have home development workshops. I've got a separate slide on that that I'll use to go into a little more detail in a moment. But the thinking is we build sturdy homes, but we also want to strengthen the family dynamic of these people whom we serve. And the human development workshops are so important for that. There is a family selection process. Gabby, our executive director, and our social worker identify communities, identify families who would be good candidates for homes, and we serve as many as we can. There are qualifications. The families for whom we build, they have to own their own land. Casita Linda does not own land. We don't buy land. That's usually not a problem. So many of these people live in the campo, maybe land that the family has had for a long time, and a parent or a grandparent will deed to them a small plot of land. I think it has to be 8 meters by 10 meters, not very large, to accommodate our homes, but they have to own land. They have to attend the workshops, which can take 6 to 9 months. It's very important. We don't want to just give them a house. We want to give them life skills that will make their lives in those homes so much more fruitful, productive, happy, and safe. And the families do help in the construction of the house. They have some sweat equity. Depending upon what they're able to do, they'll help with the construction, they'll help with painting, they'll help with landscaping, but they have that form of ownership in it as well, that sweat equity form. Our housing model. This is a floor plan of a Casita Linda house. We actually have two floor plans. You can have the door on the left and the kitchen on the right, or the door on the right and the kitchen on the left. Those are the two. They are mirror images, but there is a, Diego's not going to invite me back if I do that once more. I did it again. Okay. All right, the top one is the pointer. Okay, so there's a bedroom here, another bedroom here, and a larger bedroom, typically of the parents here. The bedrooms are not large. The smaller ones are about 10 by 10 feet. The larger one is about 10 by 13. But if you put bunk beds in here, you can fit 4 children per bedroom. We just approved a house with 6 children. But the home is able to accommodate that depending upon how you arrange the beds. And you can put the boys in one room, the girls in another room. I think in total, the size of the house is only about 650 square feet. Much larger than they're used to, not large by the standards of many of us, but very functional space with the 3 bedrooms, the common area, which is a dining area and a living area, and a private bathroom with a shower. So many of these families use a communal toilet or chemical toilet or outhouse system, don't have showers, and so really very functional. And I think you'll agree, it is pretty and it's little, but that is our Casita Linda. They all choose the color of their home. They paint it. Stacy spent last weekend painting 2 of them with a crew, and Kiko and others. But it's a lot of fun to kind of put that finishing touch on the homes. But as you can see, we take the cinder block finish. There's stucco that goes on it. There's a tinaco on. Oh my goodness. There's a tinaco on the top, but there's also a large cistern in the back, which is the water catchment system, which I think is 10,000 liters. Okay, now to the workshops. As I mentioned, these take approximately 6 months, sometimes longer. They begin with self-esteem workshops, and they work their way up in intensity to finally addressing such topics as sexuality, family planning, addiction issues that seem to affect all extended families, domestic violence, things that these families in the campo really don't have any training or basis or understanding to address. And so our workshops provide counseling and training in regard to those matters. Just to kind of summarize using some numbers, we've had 766 direct beneficiaries. As I mentioned earlier, we've finished 168 houses, but think about this. If you've got, say, 3 children per house, that's 500 children who are now living in a safe, secure Casita Linda house. And as I mentioned, they're built to last a long time. If they last just 4 generations, just 100 years, and I have no doubt they'll be around much longer than that, over 100 years, just the homes we've built will shelter and house 2,000 children in our community. I hope by the time I'm done with my involvement in Casita Linda, that number will at least double and will continue to grow. So if you think about it generationally, the impact we're having is quite extensive. 19 rural communities, 20 marginalized neighborhoods. A few more numbers. It takes about 3 months to build a house, mostly because it takes a while for the concrete of the floor to set, concrete of the roof to set. We can actually put up the walls of these homes because of the design of the bricks in about 2 days. So it can go very quickly. The current cost in US dollars to build and modestly furnish these homes is about $22,000. And finally, we've got some pictures of some families. As I mentioned, we're building now in Puente del Carmen. The last community we built in was Banda. And here's a home in Banda. The finished and kind of this, I don't know, pink corally color. Stacy should do this part, but it's a pinkish color. But you know, and this is the home under construction, but their prior residence was, you know, it's sheet metal, it's plywood. We go to the next picture and, you know, the roof is basically straw or sticks. It's just heart-rendering to see the circumstances in which many of these families live. But think about how transformative it is for them to go from this to this. And, you know, frankly, so many of their living circumstances are even more impoverished than that picture depicts. Just another, oh, that's a nice color, kind of a plum color they chose. But another family in Banda. You know, judges used to give me 15 minutes for oral argument. I was given 20 today, and I hope I made it okay and I haven't taken us over. But that concludes my remarks. But of course, we're happy to answer any questions you might have. The last slide is just how to get in touch with us if you would like to know more.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today and for all the wonderful work you are doing with Casita Linda. Luisa, wonderful to see you as always. Stacy, Kiko, Gabby, thank you so much. As you're drinking your morning coffee, think of Rotary and Unite for Good, our annual.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all of the wonderful work that you all are doing for our communities and to serve very well-deserving people. And we invite